Hello, I am Amikata and welcome to Repique Level 1. Now we're going to go over everything you need to get started playing Repique, from the absolute basics to getting yourself going on the basic Samba ride. So first things first, you need to have a strap, and if you are right dominant, you're going to actually put your left hand through and have it rest on your right shoulder. And that will set up the angle of the drum for you to play properly. If you're left hand dominant, you want to put your right hand through over your head so it's sitting on your left shoulder. So easy way to remember that is whatever hand is dominant, that is the shoulder that it's going to be resting on. I am right hand dominant, so I put my left hand through, have it sit just like that. Bam. Now when it comes to putting the drum on, you're just going to pick any old lug and use the strap hook and hook it right in here. Now if you're playing Rio style, it is definitely better to use a shoulder strap rather than a waist strap. A waist strap is more common in Bahia style forms of Samba like Samba Reggae, Afro Samba, but in Rio you want it to be on your shoulder. Now when picking your height and how long, short you want your strap to be, I go by an ergonomic idea of where my hands are placed when I'm actually playing the drum. You don't want your hands to be up here, no T-Rex hands, and you don't want your arms fully extended to hyperextend your elbows. So I take my non-dominant hand, just rest it on the drum, and just have a nice open angle like that. Same thing on this side. If I'm playing with my right hand, you have this angle here, not too short up here, not fully extended down here, and that should be nice and comfortable for you. Now the placement of the drum, you want it to be sitting right in between your two legs, like that, at an angle. Don't try to play it flat. It is at an angle for a reason, to help you with your technique and for marching and all that stuff. So I usually sit my leg right in between these two lugs and use my thigh to kind of control it here. Nice and even like that. Now it might feel a little awkward at first. It might feel like it's swinging around. You will get used to it, especially as you start marching. You kind of learn to balance it on your leg here, and that will come with time. But for now, just make sure it's in a nice, secure position, plant your feet, stand square, and that's a great place to start from. All right, now when it comes to the stick, this is a specific Repique stick that's been turned for Repique. You can also use a regular drumstick. If you do use a regular drumstick, I would strongly recommend using the back side of the stick when you play. We are going to be doing a lot of rim shots in this technique, and it is a lot easier to get that sound efficiently when you're using the back side of it. So if you're using a regular stick, you would hold it about the same position you would on the back side, but just flipped around, have a little bit coming out the back side of it. And I usually suggest, it's like you're handing someone a letter. You get your hand in that position, put a stick there, and that's about it. You want to make sure your thumb and your pointer finger are on an even field. You don't want your finger out, you don't want your thumb out. Just a nice easy position like that. All of your fingers on the stick, no pinkies out. It's not tea time, so that's how you're going to approach it. I'm going to be using this Repique stick here. It's just turned, it looks like a little cigar. It's a little thinner on this end, a little bit longer on this end, and I'm good to go. Alright, so when it comes to actually playing this drum, you have technique for your stick hand and you have technique for your non-stick hand. Alright, so for the tone, you're going to use your hand like a paddle. You're going to be setting it up with your fingers as a unit, and you want to use about this much of your hand. You're not going to use your entire hand on the drum. Your position, get into my position, is going to be so that the fleshy part of your hand that actually has some cushion on it is going to be about where the rim is, and then all of your fingers together are going to be hitting on the surface of the drum. Now you have to be careful. This is a metal rim, and our hand, in the battle of metal versus flesh, the metal will always win. So make sure that you're aiming to hit evenly across the surface of your hand, that the back side isn't hitting first, the front side isn't hitting first, because you will bruise your hand very, very badly. So take some time to get comfortable, getting that nice full sound. Again, you don't need a ton of your hand on the drum, just a little bit, like that. And you want to use your wrist more than your arm. The technique comes from your wrist, where you lift your hand up, wave at the wall, and come down and strike. And after you strike, you want to make sure that your fingers do not rest on the drum. That's its own technique. That's a mute muff stroke, but for now we're just going to do open tones. Now to change this into a slap, all you have to do is bend your wrist like that. And when you approach the drum, instead of hitting with all of your fingers at the same time like a paddle, you're going to be striking here first, and your fingertips, you're going to relax them. They're going to come down and whip onto the surface of the head, bam, like that. So you're using this momentum, this strike here against the rim of the fleshy part of your palm, then your fingers are loose, they come down and strike, and then come back up. And that really, it's important to bend the wrist there, because if you come flat, you're not going to have that momentum to use. So you come in, down like that. And again, it's really common for people to start approaching with the pinky side first and hit hard there, and you get a big old bruise on the side of your hand. Don't want to do it. So come in like that, make sure you're coming in flat, wrist bent, so just so you hear the difference, tone, slap. So take some time to get comfortable with that. Make sure you're not having any particular points on your hand that are being overly abused. It's gonna hurt at first until you build up some calluses and build up a lack of sensitivity in your hands. There's gonna be some pain involved, but it's worth it, I promise. All right, so approaching the stick hand now. When you're playing the drum, you want to play very close to the rim. I'd say within 2 inches to the outside of the rim. There's some older style techniques that involve doing kind of this pulling idea where you play in the middle and work your way out. Now that samba is played a lot faster than it used to be played, it's better to keep everything close to the rim and keep everything very compact. So we're just going to start here at the edge, and we're going to play hand stick, hand stick. And this is very basic, but we're just getting the placement and the feel of it. And right now, just using tones. Cool. So that's step 1. Again, keep it nice and close to the rim, not too far out, but about there. Now, from there, we need to build in some rim shots. So we've already had the head stroke. To play a rim shot, you're going to be hitting both the head of the drum and the rim at the same time. And it gets that nice high-pitched crack sound to it. So this technique requires a lot of practice. Think of it like target practice. You just have to do it over and over again until your hand knows exactly what angle you need to approach the drum at. And of course, every drum is different because the height of the rim might be a little bit different based on how long you've had your drum and how much you've tuned it. So this just takes practice until you can just throw it down. But that's step 2 of our technique. Now what we're going to do is do our same pattern as before, hand stick, but we're going to throw a rim shot after that first stick stroke. So we're going to go. Now you want to make sure that both your head stroke and your rim shot stroke are essentially in just about the same place. You should be able to get that technique, that sound, without moving the stick forward and back at all. And you notice the shoulder has some potentially injurious motions if you're doing this back and forth kind of motion. It's bad for your rotator cuff. You want to keep it in the same place, and it's a matter of the angle of the stick, whether it's here, so the tip is heading first, or if it's slightly dropped, so you're hitting both the rim and the head at the same time. Same kind of concept as a slap versus a tone, if that helps you keep all those things in mind. All right, stage 3, we're going to add one more rim shot to this pattern, so it's going to be hand, head, shot, shot, hand, head, shot, shot. And as a reference, your first stick stroke is where the pulse is. hand, stick, shot, shot, hand, stick, shot, shot, doom, doom, gat, doom, try it out. Your basic samba ride. You can play that up to tempo, of course, up to samba tempos here, and that'll be 95% of everything you do on Repique is just for 3 hours straight. Obviously, working up to that speed is part of the challenge of playing this drum. So start nice and slow as we're doing, and you notice as you're working on this, right now, I'm using my wrist and my fingers to play every one of those notes on my stick hand. As we get faster, those individual strokes turn into bounces, where instead of playing each of those notes, I'm only doing one stroke with my wrist, and then 2 more strokes with just my fingers controlling the bounce of the stick. So if you just drop the stick on the head, it naturally wants to bounce, right? So all we need to learn how to do is to control those bounces and get exactly the number of bounces we want each time. So a good exercise to approach that is just dropping the stick and then catching it after 3 bounces. Now when you're actually playing, you don't want to throw your fingers off the stick like that. This is just an example to let it bounce freely, uncontrolled, and then lift. Eventually you speed that up until you really see, you can visually see the drop and the extra bounces versus where you can see I'm using my hand each time to get all those bounces. So take your time, start slow. To hear and see exactly where my technique shifted from going with individual strokes to bounces. I'll do it one more time and kind of give a head nod, call it out when it happens. So you want to find that place where you have to switch your technique and get used to that spot so you know how to switch and when to switch and all that good stuff. All right, the last piece of the puzzle today is how to incorporate that slap in your non-stick hand into this pattern. And usually this is going to come in beat 1 and in beat 4. And the conversation that's happening with you and the surdus and the other instruments is we have the low surdu on beat 2, right? Bing, boom, bing, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4. That slap is always going to come right before the low surdu. So if you're ever lost and not sure exactly where to throw it, the place to put it is doom, gat, doom, doom, gat, doom, doom. So that's your reference point. So let's go nice and slow and build that pattern. So when we start on beat 1, starting with the stick, the first hand stroke is going to be a slap, and then followed by a tone. Ready, and. Sense. It's a good reference point. You can listen to samba music, samba enredo or samba canção, and hear that bing boom, like that, and hopefully that'll keep you on track. So practice this nice and slow with the metronome. Slowly speed up your tempo until you get to that breaking point when you need to switch from individual strokes to bounce strokes. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Don't fall into the habit of just dirty buzzes on the head that have no clarity to them, and you'll be ready for lesson number 2.